What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So in a time when the United States is not seeing a lot of success, not seeing a lot of good news out there, I wanted to come on today and give you some good news. The good news is that the United States, according to reports, has a plan to solve one of the biggest crises here in the US. So today I'm going to address what that crisis is and what President Biden and lawmakers plan to do about this. Again, they do have a plan. It may work, it may not, but I will address what that plan is and how this is going to impact you moving forward. All I ask is one thing, takes 2 seconds. Go ahead and hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. So here in the United States, we have many different problems. One of the other problems, because of all these problems, is we do not have enough solutions. And we do not have solutions that lawmakers all agree to. However, things are now starting to turn in a different direction. What is happening right now is there's an influx of immigrants coming into the United States. And we're seeing pictures and reports that look like this, where thousands and thousands of people are trying to enter into the United States, whether it's legal or not. Their plan is to get here, and then they will figure out what the next step is. However, President Biden is now getting pressure from Democratic governors. And this pressure from these governors, for example, in Illinois, Arizona, and in New York, this is causing him to rethink his strategy. This is good news for the American people. Here's the reason why. The more pressure that he is under means he has to choose some path. Whether it's the right one or the wrong one, he has to choose a path. According to reports, the path that we are currently on, where lawmakers do nothing, the border stays open, and we do not offer any assistance to Mexico, that plan does not work. So the good news? The Biden administration is going to make a change very soon, and this could actually put more security down our southern border, and at the same time allow us here in the U.S. to receive more benefits because now we actually have them. Now, I want to read you some of this article. Look at this. It says the caravan, which is the picture I just showed you, estimated at around 6,000 people, many of them families with young children, is the largest in more than a year. A clear indication that joint efforts by the Biden administration and President Obrador's government to deter migration are falling short. That's one of the things. It's not great news that what they've been doing is not working, but now we're getting reports that the good news is that they're willing to do something and they're willing to work together. Just look at this. Says security forces looked on in what appeared to be a repeat of past tactics when authorities waited for the marchers to tire out. And then they'd offer them a form of temporary legal status that is used by many to continue their journey northward. So one of the things that the United States and Mexico agreed to in the past was they were going to allow people that were coming up to the United States to stay in Mexico, which would be, in many cases, which was an upgrade to where they were currently from. Whether it was Cuba or Venezuela or Guatemala, Nicaragua, it didn't matter. They would have a better life in Mexico. Okay? Now, here's what was said. On Friday, President Obrador said he is willing to work again with the United States to address concerns about migration. But he also urged the Biden administration to ease sanctions on leftist governments in Cuba and Venezuela, where about 20% of the 617,000 migrants encountered nationwide in October and November hail from. And, here's a big one, send more aid to developing countries in Latin America and beyond. Now, I want to address that because this is where things are headed. According to reports, and this is why this is good news, according to reports, the Biden administration and lawmakers have a plan to secure the southern border. Now, where things got interesting is that it didn't mean we were going to put more Border Patrol agents down at the southern border. It did not mean we were going to send additional funding to finish building a border wall. And it didn't mean that in order for us to secure the southern border, we would limit asylum seekers. That's not what it meant. Okay? There's all those options, but what we are hearing now is that President Biden is working with Mexico. And Mexico, if we can send Mexico a little bit more funding, right, more aid, this could actually help us, because then Mexico would allow more people into their country and wouldn't push them through up to the United States. As of right now, Mexico is pretty much overloaded as well, very similar to New York and Illinois, where they are overloaded with immigrants. And so they do not have the ability, they don't have the infrastructure to house them, to feed them, right? To keep them healthy. They don't have that. But if the United States sends them a little bit additional money, then yes, they could. This is also where Mexico is telling President Biden to send more aid to developing countries. If we send more aid to developing countries and remove some of the sanctions, for example, from Venezuela, then in Cuba, then, and only then, those people would stay in their countries. But because the United States is so focused on the Middle East, so focused on Ukraine, that is why some are saying that we do not focus on the countries that are closest to us, the ones that would actually impact us here on U.S. soil. So, according to these reports, the good news is that the United States, if Russia does decide to negotiate with Ukraine, the United States would be off the hook for the additional, tens of billions of dollars that we are potentially going to pay to Ukraine. And if this war between Israel and Hamas can end quickly, this would then remove the burden from the United States of paying this additional funding. Now and I don't want to be come out here and say this is a burden to help out the people of Gaza. That's not what we're saying. What we are saying is that right now, the hardest thing to do is pass a bill that's going to provide additional funding to another country, simply because that we were there first. We were there to help. Israel's our closest ally in the Middle East. And because they were the ones that are attacking Hamas and hurting the people of Gaza, that means we have to come in and provide additional assistance. Okay? So there's a lot of reports here that I'm trying to give you this information on. The problem right now is that lawmakers are still on recess. Okay? Today is December 25th. So for those of you that celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. For those of you that are just celebrate other holidays, just happy holiday. And so right now, the discussions and negotiations are very limited because lawmakers are on recess. But the good news is they'll be back soon. Now, I want to read you one last thing. It says Mexico's ability to assist the U.S. may be limited. However, in December, the government halted a program to repatriate and transfer migrants inside Mexico due to a lack of funds. So far this year, Mexico has detected more than 680,000 migrants living illegally in the country, while the number of foreigners seeking asylum in the country has reached a record 137,000. Now, Mexico's ability to assist the U.S. may be limited. I think that's an understatement. They cannot do a lot. Mexico is strapped, for cash. Mexico is, run by the cartels. So there's not a lot that Mexico can do. But if the United States and Mexico were to team up, partner together, and solve this border crisis, not at the U.S.-Mexico border, but at the Mexico southern border, then, according to reports, that would be a huge boost for the United States. We wouldn't need as much funding. Things would be cheaper. We would help the people out in Mexico and in their home countries. We do that first to keep them there, to make sure that their standard of living is not dropping. But again, according to reports, this is good news because the United States does have a plan to solve this crisis. And the biggest thing that you need to keep in mind is that it may not affect us at our southern border as far as what we see, but it will help us as far as immigrants coming into the United States. So that's what we know at this time. As always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all the latest news and updates, but that is what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.